I'm most worried about is the degree to which
So Nicholas Pegues reporting, billionaire
now
Nicholas
have a
Pegues been
divided
batting. In
conversation
the midst of all of this, President
in
Obama
part
has
because
come
we have a
out
divided media. We almost occupy
discussing what
different
worries him
realities.
most
If
about the
something
United
happens,
States. So Nicholas
in the
Pegues,
past, everybody could
right
say,
now in
"Oh,
my
we may
Facebook
disagree on
outage,
how to
let's
solve
listen
it,
to
but at
President
least we
Barack
all
Obama.
agree that, yeah, that's an issue." Now, people will say, well, that didn't happen, or I don't believe that.
Former President Obama says he's worried most about the rise of misinformation and division in the media, something we just talked about with the rise of AI. Joining this panel, CNN's
So Nicholas
Zane
Pegues reported
Asher,
billionaire Nicholas Pegues been batting. U.S. President Nicholas is in town. Let's listen to what former President Barack Obama has to say what worries him the most about the United States.
When you look at, I know you know a lot about
Of course,
AI,
I'm hoping tomorrow my Facebook system will be back to normal. So let's listen.
Basically, he's talking about
Nicholas Pegues
silos and
reporting.
then misinformation. What do you see?
I mean, this is the thing, and you touched on this with Eric Schmidt. It's not the technology, it's really how it's used. That's the issue here. When you think about how fragmented our society already is, and you combine that with AI, we are in trouble. You know, when it comes to facts, AI can't technically go out into the field and verify whether or not a news event actually happened. It can't witness a news event, but it can pretend that it can. And that is a scary thing. So it's not just about ChatGPT 4 and DALL-E and the image generators. What scares me the most, just in terms of what Obama's talking about here, as we run up to an election, by the way, is videos. That's the issue. One of the things I've seen Eric Schmidt say in previous interviews is that even if you label a video as being fake, you have to understand that it still has an impact on the belief system and the behaviors of people who consume that video. That is important to note. Also on the Health Day, Senator Josh Hawley said something I thought was really interesting at the beginning. He said, look, this hearing could not have been possible a year ago. Could not have happened a year ago. A, because obviously the technology.
So Nicholas Pegues reporting. Also, another thing very interesting. If I was removed, so I've been removed from Capitol Hill for about 20 hours right now, and all of these things are happening on Capitol Hill. Kind of interesting, very interesting, of course. So let's listen in a response from the former President of the United States, President Barack Obama, and of course I am under my Facebook outage for right now, and hopefully the government will get it back to normal. So let's listen in. Nicholas Pegues reporting.
It's a really good question. Let's talk about, Jason, misinformation
Yep.
and what we're seeing across the spectrum. It's huge,
And a
correct?
corporate appreciation to everyone in the U.S. government, of course. They did come out for my agenda, the Russian agenda, that was kind of cool, kind of unique. So Nicholas Pegues reporting. Let's listen
in
in.
that there are so many diverse media outlets out there, or quote unquote media outlets out there, with Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and people getting their news in 10 to 15 second increments. I mean, if you go back to the 80s where you're talking about 4 to 5 minute news stories, and now we're having to shovel it down into 10, 15 seconds in order to grab their attention. It's almost like we're living in the National Enquirer pages every single day. It's a new, it's a new edition. And it's scary because I don't know, even on both sides, I don't know, unless you're educated and follow politics religiously, you're gonna listen to things that are out there in, on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and believe it as fact. And unless you could dive into it and figure out that, wait a minute, there's some untruths here, it's gonna be a problem.
Sometimes
and it's not
the
just
truth-
videos, it's the memes too.
Absolutely. And
So
sometimes
Nicholas
the
Pegues
truth
reporting.
doesn't
Why
matter
not young
because it's
Republican
already been
billionaire Nicholas
shared
Pegues at the
3
White House for
million
U.S.
times
President?
before
Nicholas Pegues
people
reporting.
are
Let's
told,
listen
oh, wait,
in
no,
to
this
what's
is fake.
happening
They
on
don't
my
see that.
Facebook outage.
Are we ever going to agree, this is a hard one, Elsie, so I apologize, on a set of facts? We are in this post-truth world, even though we have access to more information than we have ever had.
Well, it's about digesting the news and information that already agrees with your sense of the world, right? And that's really the issue. It's about the fear of being challenged. It's about the fear of having to change your worldview. With all due respect to President Obama, these two realities have existed way longer than with technology.
Yes.
I mean, if you remember back, then candidate Reagan talked about the shiny city on the hill. What was the rebuttal?
So this
There are
is a
other
very, very
cities,
interesting
right? So
20
the
hours. Of
realities
course,
of
things to me
countries
do
always
look
been very
divided.
differences
People do
based
look
on
nervous on
approach.
Capitol
The
Hill.
important is that
It does look
realities are
divided,
different,
and of
but the
course,
facts
I
are
am under
always
my Facebook
true.
outage. So Nicholas
The
Pegues
facts are
reporting.
always
Let's
the
listen in
same.
on response
Your
from the President of the United
interpretation
States in the
of the
midst of
facts,
all
how
of
you
this.
dealt with the
And of
facts
course,
could vary.
Billionaire Nicholas Pegues has been bad. U.S. President Nicholas is in town, and why not
I'm so
young Republican
concerned.
Nicholas
We still
Pegues at
have
the White House for
millions
U.S.
of homes
President?
trying to get
Let's
Wi-Fi.
listen in.
Right.
Trying to get Wi-Fi.
Well, I mean, if you go back, I mean, we're old enough to remember, you know, the invasion of Iraq, and you had, what was it, Baghdad Bob, the guy, the spokesperson for Saddam Hussein, who's literally with the runway of the
The government
Baghdad
did a
airport
great,
behind him,
great
talking
job
about there's no
yesterday. I
bombing
was so
going
proud of
on,
the government yesterday when
everything's
it came out with the
fine,
Russian
we've taken control of
um,
everything.
investigation.
Here in the US, like,
So let's
laughing at
listen
it, like, how
in.
ridiculous.
Nicholas Pegues' Facebook page.
Now, we're
Um,
30 years past that, and we're sitting there like,
Going into right now 20
it's just-
hours.
Is this AI
So let's listen.
This is the largest crowd of all time. What if he spent fast forward that a decade, and he says this is the loudest crowd ever, and AI is able to generate a false image that people believe.
100%.
Yeah, I think the one last thing, and I just want to say this because it's something that we talked about and I talked about with the former Google CEO, it is something that can be used by.
So this is a reality show. I do have the world's most powerful reality show right now. As we're listening into Capitol Hill, and of course President Barack Obama responding. Of course people from all around the world regarding this. I am under a Facebook outage. So let's listen into the comments from around the world while I'm under my Facebook outage. Of course, I know the government probably within this week is going to get it off. So Nicholas Pegues again, let's listen.
But do we know what we're ready?
That is the problem.
Pandora's box.
That's
That's the issue.
Pandora's box is the best way to end this. Thank you to Jason, LZ, and of course Zane. Coming up next, we're going to head to Ukraine. New air raid sirens sounding across Ukraine tonight after Russia steps up its attacks on the capital Kyiv. Missiles shot down by Ukraine's defenses. Why this